Enter the Soul Nexus. Welcome, one and all, to another episode of Cosmic Jesters. I am your host, Alex, and I am super excited about the live roundtable we have pulled together today. You are going to be talking with and hearing from the moderators of a subreddit known as Soulnexus. This subreddit is about 5 years old. It's probably one of the largest subreddits dedicated to topics related to consciousness, spirituality, all sorts of modalities. It's kind of a fun, light, and bright subreddit. And a subreddit is a forum. And said forum went from about 5 members 5 years ago to 100,000 today. So that's definitely a meteoric rise. Can't believe it. And it's a lot of work to maintain. Out of 4 moderators, we have 3 here today. We have my good friend from up north, True North and Proud, Kip.
Good day.
And then we have along with us the ancient Egyptian goddess in female form, Wren.
Hi.
And I want to thank you both for making time today to talk about this. So, Soulnexus. what do you think?
Well, I was one of the first 5 members that I think that you talked about. Yeah, I mean, I followed Balthazar, the creator of the subreddit, over. I was like one of the first few people there. So yeah, Soulnexus I've been with since the very, very beginning. And I befriended Balthazar, and then she eventually made me a moderator. So it's been 5 years.
Oh my God, you were a moderator pretty quickly, like almost immediately, because I think.
Oh yeah, I was one of the first ones. Yeah, I mean, we only had like 100 subscribers or something back then.
Yeah,
it was a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, weren't we? Correct me if I'm wrong, but we were originally an offshoot of the subreddit called Retconned.
Retconned, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Mandela effect.
Yeah, exactly. Because we were like all obsessed with the Mandela effect, and there were a few types of conversation arising, and then some people were like, what are the esoteric or sort of spiritual implications of the Mandela effect? And then they were almost like, can you take this conversation offline? We're like, can you take this conversation over there? And we're like, all right. So we cleaved off. Funny enough.
Yeah, I actually got an invite from I think Looney Gecko, who's one of Retconn's moderators. They personally invited me over to Retcon. So I went over there, and that's how I ended up there, and then followed Balthazar at Soulnexus.
Oh my God. Oh, I love it. Because that's, yeah, we all, even though we all mod Soulnexus, why can't I say it today? Even though we all mod Soulnexus, we all kind of came together in a vortex over at Retcon. Is that right for you, Kip? Or what's your journey to Soulnexus?
Kind of. I kind of crashed into Reddit around the same time I did Soulnexus. I came in on some funky alternate reality game that was only being promoted through Reddit. So I was like, oh, cool, I'll do this for a while and see what happens. And then I was searching around and, building my news feed as a Redditor would do, and learning how to work Reddit and post properly and all of that. And I found Soulnexus just through random finding. I think it might have been within the same week or 2, or reversed, of finding one or the other, Soulnexus and Retconned, that I went into. And I don't know, I found a perfect place because I was going through an awakening, and I was like, oh, wow, cool, Soulnexus, this kind of makes sense. I'm going to start sharing this poetry I'm making that's based upon my awakening, and share some experiences, and and then it just kind of went from there.
I still remember the mod conversation that I was a part of, when it was Balthazar and Admiral Byrd, and we're like, who else do you want? And I think it was Admiral Byrd that suggested Kingofqueenanne.
So yeah, that's funny because I feel like I was like the really reluctant moderator, where
Really?
I think so, because when the offer came and they're like, would you like to? I'm like, that sounds like a part-time job. Like, no, thank you. But yeah, but I mean, getting convinced, it was just like that was fun, and that was early on. I think I'm I'm one of the later one. Like I came in about a year in, or about like 6 months into the sub, or something like that, is when I think I achieved mod status. But yeah, I was hesitant at first, but since then I don't know. I think I've grown to like it.
I think we all have like an attachment to it since we're all still there 5 years later.
Yeah. Funny enough, I don't think it should exist. It's like it's a timeline aberration. Like it in most timelines, I don't think it does exist. In this timeline, it does. Like it's
Probably
a
in most
happy accident.
timelines I'm dead. I guess what I'm thinking. Because I've had a lot of like near-death experiences.
Yeah, same here, right? That kind of unites us all. That united us on the Mandela Effect forum, I feel like. So we're just on the offshoot timeline of an offshoot timeline of an offshoot timeline. Ooh, that's
we just
heady.
keep trans reality surfing.
We did just hopping and hopping. Oh my god. How has Soulnexus like influenced you on your sort of journey of awakening and figuring stuff out?
Kip.
Hot seat.
Wow, it was great to land into and just be able to find others that related to similar things I was going through. Because the experiences that I had around that time were so just next level, nothing I had experienced before. And it was like an old hat psychonaut. That's some pretty big boots to be sitting in, you know? So it was kind of a relief to be able to throw out an experience and have that come back to you with like, oh no, I was just through recent stuff, like, and just to be able to chat about that and get through, not necessarily take anything from it, but just to have that confirmation. Okay, well, I'm not alone. I'm not necessarily insane, but I'm certainly not in context with true reality as people see it. But that's fine too. Neither were the mystics.
That's a really good point you just made, where it's like when on your own little island, you're like, I'm like a specific brand of crazy right now, aren't I? But then you just like arrive to a forum and you're like, okay, I'm not the only one. We seem to be all going a specific type, a specifically flavor of crazy. But it's kind of nice. You're like, okay, I'm not the only one. There's a certain sort of like awakening or a rising or a blooming or a something, and it's just like, okay, I'm not the only one, thank god. Because like in your lived reality of like walking down the street and running errands and stuff like that, you're like, I don't know, I feel like the loneliest fish in the pond. And then, you know, I mean, but that's kind of the beauty of, I guess, forums like this, is like it's a way station, it's a nexus.
It's a
I
nexus.
think we all said we're the black sheep of our family, right? At one point we all did.
Oh, yes. And specific flavors, like very different situations, but yeah, similar.
But all similar in the sense that like we've been labeled that black sheepness by our family for very similar reasons. And even now with us coming of age in this generation, I guess, whatever you'd like to call it, maybe they're beginning to see who we are as people a little more clearly and how they might have missed something as we were developing, but it's their fault for missing the train back then. You know, like we are the intellect that we are now because of the experiences that we went through. So black sheep or not, we're still here.
Embrace it, black sheep. I've always been weird. I'm fine with it.
I love that. What do you just like chart your own path, don't you?
Yeah. Plus I've like not really had like a regular 9-to-5 job per se, which makes me like probably like Soulnexus poster child, because I don't think that resonates with a lot of people. The whole 9-to-5 cubicle, you know.
Yeah, I definitely want to be my own business owner at some point. I definitely don't want to neglect the whole non-working, or not. I definitely don't want to neglect the whole working ideal, but yeah, I need to work for myself at some point. The 9-to-5 does kill me.
I think entrepreneurialism is the economic model of an ascended earth. I think you show up, you do that thing you do best, and you fall into a synchronistic kind of life path of being the one the world turns to for that very specific like thing that you do that no one else can do. And I think everyone has that to some degree. Like playing, if we're all playing Dollhouse, we all get the right doll that we're just like, oh, this doll fucking rocks. Or like Mortal Kombat, right? Like you choose a character and you're like, oh, that one. Yeah, I don't know. I think Soulnexus, a timeline aberration on a really unlikely timeline. We also seem to talk a lot about like something like a new Earth, right? Like, or like an ascension or an ascended Earth or something like that. That I think a lot of people, you either are like super into that idea or you're like put off by that idea. But that idea, I feel like, has a lot of traction at Soulnexus. Am I wrong?
No, I
What's your
think
stand on it?
yeah, I think that's 100% correct due to the fact that it's usually full of people that are experiencing some sort of ascension symptoms, or some sort of scenario that's unfolding for somebody that they have no depth or understanding of. And so yeah, they're coming to this soul nexus because either they've heard of it in one way, shape, or form about people going on this ascension program and just going there for guidance or understanding or just companionship, just camaraderie in the comments section and just chatting about these cool subjects and whatnot. So I think it is, again, a way station for the lost and the innocent, so to speak, I guess.
Yeah, it started with like seeing 1111 everywhere for me, and then like going to Soulnexus and finding out that a lot of people had that was like very bizarre.
Super cool, but very bizarre because you're just like, what does this mean?
I still don't know. I mean, I've seen it for 5 years and I still don't know.
I think meanings of those vary person to person, and it varies for a single person multiple ways. Like it's like it used to mean this, but now it means this. But I think at its heart, the fact that it would just always occur, like in ways unrealistic, like you're sitting here typing and then you just look over real quick and it just says it and you're like, oh, or you see it on a license plate as you're driving by and you're like, yeah, wow, that just keeps arising in my awareness. And I know people can easily dismiss it or scoff it off as something like confirmation bias or something like that. But I think that it's just like, I don't know, this seems to be smacking me in the face a lot.
Well, there's confirmation bias, and then there's like hardcore synchronicity when you're being confronted by this thing so consistently within the run of a day that you can't deny that there's synchronicity there happening, or some sort of, I don't know, linear event that you should be aware of that you're not currently, and that's trying to get your attention to it.
I've experienced some really bizarre synchronicities before, not just numbers, you know what I mean? Like I'm writing a Cinderella book and I'll just scroll up my timeline and there's like a Cinderella post, specific things like that.
It's so funny to experience a moment that breaks reality for you. But then you look around and you're like, well, this is only me personally. Because if I run out in the street and I tell someone like, I was looking up Cinderella and then I saw Cinderella over here. And then somebody's like, what are like eat your num-nums, take your pills. Like they're just like, that means nothing to me because it's not their experience. But
because it's so personable. That's probably why I like UFOs so much, because that's a widely witnessed, typically, phenomenon that numerous people can watch at the same time.
A shared experience, a shared manifestation. Yeah. So Wren, what is up with us? Like, we seem to be like, sometimes we're cynical people, we're realistic people, yet we carry this like, how do I say this? Like silly delusion of optimism. Like, like the
I go
way
back and forth.
You do.
I'm like, I'm gonna like manifest the whole world for myself, and then like the next day I'll be like, I hate people, nothing good happens to me, back and forth all the time.
Yeah, they say that about like, I read this very true thing about Aquarius suns where they're like, you love humanity, but you hate individual humans. And I'm like,
That's me
guilty.
for sure.
Oh, that's my fiance.
Oh, Aquarius? Is she
Yeah,
Aquarius?
Aquarius sun.
Oh,
My
see,
mom is an
No,
Aquarius.
Aquarius overall energy. She's a Pisces sun. Sorry.
well, that's beautiful. I'm an Aquarius sun, but I have a lot of placements in Capricorn. So I'm like,
Very steadfast and murky.
yeah, I'm like if Mitt Romney were a psychonaut.
I'm like a Libra Virgo cusp.
Yeah.
And like I only met one other Libra Virgo cusp my whole life. And she was like exactly like me. Like she's my mirror person in like the creepiest way. Like I couldn't even get into it. It's like we were like both of us were like the youngest of three sisters. Like she's like her birthday's is like a day before me. Like she lost her mom the same age, which was like 61. And then like her dad had Alzheimer's. And then later on in life, my dad had dementia. It's like we had exact same life, like almost like we clicked like the button that said like, give me the Libra Virgo cusp. It was the exact same life.
Astrology's so neat, I find, because like right now I'm mostly my Pisces sun, but I have all Aries, well, overall energy and personal planets. So I'm just like, second you break my Pisces sun that I'm delivering, you're just done. You know, like it's just nothing but fire from there on out.
You can apply astrology to any sort of event or date or this or that. Relationships, like you and how you'd be compatible with this. And I used to laugh at that as a notion. I used to be like, well, that's silly. What does it matter where, Venus was when I, popped out of my mom?
Because we have a lot of galactic radiation. Sorry to get sciencey, but this is like a
Go there.
we're getting a lot of galactic radiation coming through right now. It's because we're literally at less than 5% our general magnetic field. Like it's wild. This is unprecedented, except for every 12,000 years. But so we've survived it before, clearly. But I mean, certain signage together would be affected by similar galactic radiation events, in my opinion, because they reflect similar energy patterns, right? So if this galactic energy event is going to affect a certain person a certain way, then people within the same sign representing the same similar or same thought patterns, processes would be affected in similar ways. So maybe that would explain that occurrence for you.
In moments like these, just like accepting or leaning into the fact that there's like a puzzlement, like there's a quizzical, like, there's something there, I think is a great, like, it's like how a child perceives the world, right? Like, I think going back to like childlike wonderment, and not necessarily naivete or this or that, but like being able to like look at your reality and how your reality is progressing or shifting or evolving, and kind of going with like, oh, that was really odd, or that was synchronistic, or maybe I'm drawing a pattern here. Oh, I'll table that. It is really funny the dance that the universe does with terms of our experience, our perceptions, our, the things that arise for us, the situations we walk into, like Soulnexus, the happy accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just like, I feel like that damn forum is like a big ass synchronicity machine. You know what I mean? Like it's like synchronicity after synchronicity, and things that we have no involvement in. Like people will find each other, or this spurns that, and so then that person, like, people seem to come and go from the forum. Like they have
totally
time,
agree.
right?
Like
Yeah.
I found that like especially when I crash landed in there, I was like on the brink. I was just fed up with anxiety and depression, and I just finished the first run at my treatment resistant depression with psychedelic mushrooms and a high dose of wood lovers. So wood lovers paralysis plus metaphysical experience being weighed and measured and all of that stuff, and then spiritually healed right in
Is
front
there
of my
something?
eyes within a psychedelic realm. I was just like, okay, right on. I need to find a form to let this onto. So lo and behold, there it was. I was like, okay, well, this is where I need to be for the next little while. I get it. All right, so I'm just going to start messing around in here, talking to these people, picking their brains, see what's going on with what I'm experiencing, because I have a lot of religious and occult knowledge, and yes, it's lining up, but like I never realized how this might be an ascension program that's coming and being unfolded within, like, before my eyes. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this, like, I understand a lot more of the religious and spiritual texts that I've read, but I mean, holy shit, this is wild.
Yeah, I was thinking there's got to be some kind of correlation between like depression and awakening, because like when I found like retcon and Soulnexus, like I was going through the most difficult time of my life as my dad's caregiver, you know. um I was just like depressed all the time, believe me. I mean, yeah. And then the synchronicities come up and I'm like, what? Oh, and another thing, like the biggest synchronicity of my life, I've mentioned this on the message board probably a few times, but my dad, when he was completely out of his mind with dementia, he's like, he said one time just out of nowhere, I'll be here till November. The dude died on November 1st.
Oh my God. He like
Yeah, that's like the biggest synchronicity I can think of.
that's what, like, he
Yeah.
came to like momentary lucidity and was like, I'm out in November, and then like
Who was
true to
telling him
form.
that though, you know? Makes me wonder.
Oh my God. Well, I just see like moments of, that's so funny. You came at your lowest point. Kip, you came out of your lowest point and were like, I have nowhere to like share this. I think I'm not on the depressive end on the scale of the spectrum. I'm more on the crippling anxiety end of the spectrum, which I feel like kind of, it's like the same like
Yeah,
problem but manifested
Mhm.
differently.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
I think that those feeling states, not good, not fun, not pleasant, not places you
Serve
want
as
to
like
stay
almost a
in.
springboard.
Exactly. Yeah, like a
Mhm.
catalyst or something. Like
Yeah,
it's just like it just tells your mind, body, and spirit complex, whatever it is, this cannot be it. Like something got
you
to
got to
change.
get over this, bro. Like Jesus or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, like something's got to shift, evolve,
Yeah.
change,
Or you're in the wrong
whatever.
situation, or
Hmm.
you're holding yourself back. Stop doubting yourself, or it could be anything. Like, but it's just there to serve as a guide to be like, hey, stop fucking around and do your work.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, and I know that like medications exist, all sorts of stuff exists, but there is I think sometimes a feeling state is like, hi, I'm a code, like okay, emotions are codes and bodies are code reading devices. So your
Mhm.
emotions like are communicatory. Your emotions are like, hey man, this ain't working, and then you're like, you're right, it isn't working, and that's a sucky moment, like not one you want to repeat a lot, but in that sucky moment, you're like, okay, well, how do I evolve out of the sucky moment or transmute
You hit
this?
your level of acceptance within your heart. You speak truth to it. You accept it and project it, and then you move beyond.
Yeah, you create utterances. You're like, I summon this, I reject consent to this, and then you watch this weird computer of a universe mirror exactly
Work
what you
around
speak.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We're getting heady, and we didn't even pass the pot around.
Yeehaw.
My God.
One thing I wanted to mention was back when I started Manifest Earth. I don't know if you guys are around then for Manifest Earth. Yeah.
I subbed to that. Yes,
Yeah. When
I
I like
remember.
first asked asked for people in the Soulnexus early days, I'm like, help me manifest something good for my books. And I posted a link to this book. And like the energy I felt that day was like extreme. Like, ooh. And then the next day, like I got accepted for like a big like promotion. And then like that went on to be my most popular book ever.
Mhm.
For sure. Yeah.
I've actually had a
Oh my God.
few very interesting, energetic, and visually ethereal experiences from Soulnexus and like posting a request in it. And I think I did one in Manifest Earth that was actually successful as well, that promoted a very similar energetic response from outside of myself as well. Because I can always tell when something's coming outside of me versus, you know, it just being me thinking it is. And wow, man, there's some pretty powerful, benevolent, and very kind and giving people out there that are trying to help some people, and just feeling that loving, gifting, acceptance, and go get 'em attitude is really empowering, I gotta say. And like, there's some really heavy hitters on there that are working for light, heavy hitters, and you can feel it when you're in a pinch for sure.
That's such a good point. It really is. Again, it gets to that nexus. It's like a node, it's a nexus, it's a vortex, or it's a something. I think Soulnexus emerged because it was like it didn't exist. Like it seems like a duh that it exists right now. It's sort of it's not one thing or another. It's not a Buddhist subreddit. It's not a Terrence McKenna subreddit.
It's a mode de vie, bro.
Yeah. It's some like there's some je ne sais quoi to it. That's just like, I don't know what it is, but it's like I know it when I taste it, and this is it. And I'm really grateful to that. And something that's also like light centric or like light focused, right? Because I do feel like a lot of esotericism and occultism eventually or like can lead to a negative slant or a low vibrational slant or a power over others slant or something. And it's just like,
this is the way I see this. So like any true martial arts practitioner knows how to harm someone, right?
Yes.
Is that ever their intent?
No, it's like a tool in the tool belt.
Right. So would not researching darker arts and aspects of occultism and whatnot be more so an artist arming themselves defensively? Let's get Harry Potter for a second and say defense of the black arts, you know, like what's the difference?
Yeah,
I think intent, right? Like
right.
Yeah, like I'm absorbing this for knowledge or to know what it is and what it's like versus because there'll be people who pass on through some, not just Soulnexus, but like esoteric subreddits, and they're like, I want to get revenge on my ex or something, and I want to put a hex on them or something,
or I want to summon demons. Okay, but why?
Oh god. Yeah, well, right, like did you fucking think about opening up Pandora's box?
Right.
Thinks not.
Probably not.
No.
I remember like in the early days of Soulnexus too, like I made a post that was like, everybody just needs to be nice to each other. And like someone had messaged me like, you need to get in touch with your dark side, bitch. Like that was basically that person was like trying to teach me I needed to like I was being inauthentic with that. Like, let's be sweet all the time, because like in my head I have all these dark thoughts, like, you know.
Yeah, and if you're being sweet all the time, you're just literally pushing those dark thoughts back down, and you know, without expressing that darker ideal of yourself in a way that is constructive, you're always just going to repress it, and when you repress it, it becomes something toxic. So
yeah, agree. Yeah,
I bottled up a lot for like a lot of years, and then
bro, same.
I had to like unfuck myself. You know.
Yep. It's the new tagline of the subreddit. You gotta unfuck yourself. Time to unfuck yourself. It's kind of true though, like unwinding a lot of that and removing like charges and triggers and stuff, because I know that in this incarnation which I inhabit, I intend to be and am light focused. I know I've had Kip called read me for filth here. Like I had a hand in helping Atlantis fall, right? So I have had lifetimes in which I've expressed negative intent or negative occultism or negative polarity.
One of my past lives literally went to slaughter the Mayan Aztecs and then joined them once he realized he was an idiot. So like, I get it.
That's right. Yeah, I remember when you had that regression, you were just like, "Wow," and we geeked out on that.
Yeah, I was sober as a
with-
judge too, and it blew my goddamn mind.
Yeah, Alex knows that I think I was like a dirty, perverted cowboy in a past life too. Yeah.
I want that cowboy to come back out a little bit. Like I am sort of like that wasn't that the expression of that cowboy was imbalanced, but I'm like, I don't know, like maybe he's
Oh,
like
he's
See how
there.
Wren.
He
Let's see how
exists
Wren
in
could
me.
balance this expression of a cowboy. Yeehaw.
It exists within me. Like I tap into it through my books, I think, because I like to revisit like Wild West a lot, you know, and like the things I write are like, I don't know where it comes from. I'm like, maybe it's that George character I think I was.
Well, maybe you're honoring George through that.
Mm-hmm. Like really dirty shit. I'm like, how did it come from my innocent mind? Like,
I just don't. I do declare. That's a good point, though. Like the universe or the multiverse or whatever we're inhabiting, that could be like a story making machine, like the holodeck from I say this a lot on Soulnexus, like the holodeck from the USS Enterprise, right? And with that holodeck, you can walk into that holodeck and be like, there's any story, like
Computer run program 36.
Yeah.
Boom, you're in the Wild West or the raging 30s or whatever it was, 20s, 40s.
It'd probably be porn because of like Rule 36. Right?
Oh, right.
It's like
run program 36.
You just go, which is in line with my other past life as a murdered Playboy
buddy.
Yeah.
Balthazar and I used to think we were assassins too. So there's that. I used to have assassin dreams, like, and other people have actually told me they have dreams in which I turn into like fucking Rambo or something. I end up killing tigers and shit. I'm like, why? I don't know.
Oh, wow. Just like warrior. There's warriorness in you, though. There is
for sure.
Yeah.
But like, where did it go?
It's there.
You're a Crayola box, right? Like you're crayons, and then you have individual just like colors and stuff, and it's just part of your repertoire. You know, like it's in there. So
you just gotta start using your other crayons, Ren.
Yeah.
Taste the
my
color.
Dad used to want to give me like gun lessons all the time too. Like I might have.
That's how I'm raising my daughter.
Oh, really? You should. Yeah.
I'm gonna teach her how to shoot and run her wood chipper before she's 5.
Yeah, she can hunt her own food then when the world goes to hell.
Exactly.
Well, considering what she's up against, learning how to shoot and run a wood chipper is probably good skills to have by the time you're 5.
So, as we come up on time, we understand that in this week, as we go live, our subreddit is kind of hitting 100,000 subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see for the sub? What do you see for Soulnexus, like going forward? Like, what does it look like to you?
Oh, dear God, I have so many ideas and have had so many ideas over the last few years that I'm just going to pass this on to Ren.
Well, I had that idea of like, because my sister was in therapy recently and paid a lot of money. So I had the idea that like we could offer like free help. You know what I mean? For people there, because we have a lot of people coming in there and they're like, I'm depressed, I'm at my wit's end. And I'm like, well, I started a post. It didn't get any like really traction for a few days. So I kind of got rid of it. But and plus I'm like, I'm really bad with commitment too. Like I like have ideas and then my follow through is like,
Well, nothing should, honestly, in a perfect universe, which I think we can inch towards, because why not? Nothing should require effort. And I don't mean that in that we need to be slovenly jellyfish that just don't move, but like, I don't think that anything you do should have to feel like work. It's either worth doing, or maybe you're just setting a seed and then it comes to fruition, it germinates soon. Because I vibe with you. That idea you had, I'm like, that is fucking brilliant. And it's also like an aspect of New Earth. I live in near a small Washington town that has that hosts a fix-it night, like a fix-it happy hour. So like tinkerers and mechanics and stuff, they're all like, come, if you need it fixed, come get it fixed. And so maybe somebody will bring a vacuum cleaner and somebody takes a look at it or something.
Charge money? Like I hate
no, it's just totally free.
Money.
it's just like a happy little, it's like a happy weird, and it's just totally random because you're just like, who's coming with what skill set? Who fucking knows?
That is
But
very new Earth vibration.
Mhm.
it's so cool because it's like, this grandma shows up and she's like, Mom, me mom's broken. And then someone's like, oh, that's just like 2 minutes here. And then it's in a
Now Mima knows how
maker's,
to fix it.
yeah, and it's in a maker's facility. So there's things like glue or screwdrivers and shit. And it's tinkery. But like to me, I'm like, that's the template I saw when you were like this sort of like free form. I don't really have a word for it, but like general help
Yeah, I was
clinic.
disorganized in my like launch of it, and I didn't really have like all my ideas together. But I'd still be interested in
Yeah, you're
doing
putting your
something like
feelers
that.
out. You're just like you put your
That was
feelers
just
out
a
and you're just
test
like,
post.
yeah,
You're
exactly.
doing great. Keep at it. You'll be fine. I'm sure people will come by, and there'll be people that want to help just the same as you do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Plus, we're posting this to the sub, so that's getting that out there too.
That too. Like I think
Mhm.
there's a certain sort of like just like putting yourself out there a little bit. And it just, it's this whole existence is us playing dollhouse. So we all come together and we're playing dollhouse. So,
On that
it,
note,
what?
my ideal of a Soulnexus is someday we will have both a U.S. and Canadian metropolitan gathering at some point,
Mm. Yeah.
where all Soulnexians gather as vendors or sharing or whatever they like, and have a venue to discuss as like speakers or just as like throw together groups or just as people talking to vendors or stuff like that. Most like muchly in a convention type style, but I mean, probably a lot more relaxed than something like that, but still very much within the rigid confines of what a convention could entail, you know.
I
And
can
that's
bring
just
my
me
museum of
throwing out my
crystals.
line. Oh
My
yeah,
museum of
absolutely.
crystals. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
so many. It's just like I'm like, why
Bro,
did
me
you
too.
buy
I'm a
all this?
rock hound. You should see what I pull out of the roads while I'm
I don't know
working.
how you
It's
find that
ridiculous.
stuff.
Amazing the amounts of stuff I just pull out of the side of the road.
You know, it we have to do something like this because I also have I have experience with corporate events and summits and stuff of that nature. And quite frankly, if you can pull together a summit over some very specific niche practice in law, or like we are restaurateurs that blue 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 or what have you, I think something like this should exist because again, it gets at the heart of the name. It's a nexus. Like
Right.
maybe there's a main stage and breakout groups and then a vendory area. So you're just like, what are you
Side
doing? What are you
stages
up to?
for smaller discussions that for little nervous people that don't want a big crowd for what they're looking to share with the crowd themselves, you know, like it just depends on what you're looking to do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because one of my favorite like metaphysical sort of like channelers. So she channels the diverse beings and councils throughout the cosmos, Michaela Sheldon, and she's based out of Michigan. And she always is like participating in something called the Awaken Empowered Expo. And I'm just like, oh, I love that. Like kind of a template like unto that. Like it's a summit, it's multimodal, there's a lot, it's a buffet, right? Like I don't vibe with this. Oh, I really vibe with this. It's like,
Well, in
yeah, hell
order to
yeah.
build a business plan for anything, you need to pull from something else first anyway. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah, because everything's very iterative and everything builds on everything else. Oh, I love that. I'm echoing both of you in that. I'm not going to like because I do think that like Soul Nexus's value in this very changing world where like we're going to watch of a lot of trusted institutions and currency and what have you just like fall, and that's going to
Mhm.
seem calamitous, but we're
I've been
also going
saying
to
that
look
for years.
yeah,
I have
Yeah.
two, and everybody thinks I'm Chicken Little, and I'm like, I think I'm right.
I think I'm on the nose, motherfuckers. You best be paying attention.
Exactly. But I do think as like the world or what we've been conditioned to perceive is the world falls apart and we're all like, what? I do think a forum, a nexus like Soul Nexus will be really helpful and integral in us kind of realizing that like we're still here. Like
Yeah.
like it'll be weird to turn on the news and have them say the economy is gone, and you're like, oh, but then you like look around and you're like, okay, but my house is still here, and
Mhm.
I still
we're all
have
still
people
here.
that I can trade with for things that I need. I can still get food. The economy's not gone. It's just the black market again.
Yeah,
That's actually an idea I
Agorism
had.
wins.
I had an idea once that like, because they have this like library like kind of things you could put in your yard, and you have books and people can come take a book, and like I thought there should be like one of those for like food in my yard. Like I had this like vision of it, and it just it never happened. Like
You
people
can
could
just
come
do
and
that.
take what they need and then like leave something like green peppers or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like I
oh,
wish everybody would have one of those in their house, you know, like in the front yard, and we could trade like Native Americans.
Absolutely.
I think that's like the quintessentially human, because I think a long time ago on Soulnexus, I wrote something like, would there still be a Pike Place Market on a new Earth? And Pike Place Market is like iconic in Seattle. It's like where the fish market is and shit, like, and you have vendors.
That would
And
essentially be New Earth, kind of, like it would just
exactly.
be
Mhm.
people going to meet vendors for the things that they need, or being a vendor and just exchanging with other vendors by sending another family member out from your vend station to theirs in order to trade. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that,
Farmers markets instead of like giant supermarkets.
yeah,
You know, I'd like to see more of that too.
me too.
oh, hell yeah. Because I think I'm in a place where, someone, oh, we gave away really nice mattresses, but we just got different mattresses we liked. And so there was just super good mattresses, and we're like, all right, someone take them on next door. And a family with a nearby farm, they're like, oh my God, thanks. And it was like free because we're like, they're good, but like, we don't have to charge for them. And they're like,
Mhm.
we have all these eggs. And like, they were the best. Like, so I got like a few dozen eggs. I'm like, okay.
Yum.
Oh my God. They were
Farm raised eggs are the
glorious.
bomb.
Oh,
Mm.
like I didn't know an egg could be that good.
Oh
And I was
yeah,
just like, wow.
and
So,
nutritious. Oh my god.
so we all won, like a rising tide lifts all boats. So anyway, we should probably wrap up. Of course,
Finish that on go get your Farmer's Farm fresh eggs, folks.
I've never had one, so
Oh my god, do it.
we'll give you the hookup when we
Yeah.
eventually meet for a Soulnexus mod summit or something, which would be fun to do someday. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this day for a very special episode of Cosmic Jesters with two of the people I hold very most near and dear to my heart. I don't let a lot of people in, but these two have VIP entry tickets. We are all moderators of a subreddit named Soulnexus. You have here DefNotJRossiter. I am Kingofqueenanne, and we have AnubisWitch. You can see along here on the bottom. If you have no idea what Soulnexus is and you're just like, what the hell have these people been talking about all this time, just go to your browser and type in the following URL. And you can see the subreddit come up here on the screen, but it is Reddit, reddit.r/r/Soulnexus, all one word, reddit.com/r/Soulnexus. Join us there.
Or don't.
Subscribe. Yeah, it's a free will universe. You do you, boo. I like that, right? Because I get so sick of people being like and subscribe, and I'm like, I don't know, that's mind control.